The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to comment on my comments. And thanks to our friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we are syndicated across the United States into 12 million additional households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. We're going to talk in a second about the killing of artists and musicians and intellectuals in Iraq and the drain of culture there as a result. But there's a lot going on in the Middle East today. One of the stories I wanted to touch base with you on before we get to our guest is a story that appears today on CBSNews.com. You know, you would think that there would be nothing left to shock us, but according to this story, a 12-year-old beheaded a so-called traitor on behalf of Al-Qaeda, a 12-year-old, then paraded with the severed head in his hand to the cheers of onlookers. This happened in the no man's land straddling Pakistan and Afghanistan. According to CBS News, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban put this youngster to work as the executioner because the person allegedly was spying on behalf of the government. Now, here's how this kind of relates to our story today. This was captured on videotape, but in addition to this, CBS News is reporting that Al-Qaeda in Iraq has put together a training tape to recruit children fighters there. One of the children on the training tape is a mere 6 years old. According to U.S. military officials, Al-Qaeda in Iraq have actually used children as young as 11 to carry out assassinations. I don't know whether there's hope for the native land of our next guest. Because it is just, it seems to me to almost be beyond redemption. Sunni and Shiite fundamentalists have taken to killing off artists, actors, and musicians in Iraq because they believe that their performances and their art run contrary to Islamic religious law. This has caused for there to be an artistic drain in the country, as many creative people have fled for fear of their lives. Joining us to discuss this today with us is Weam Namou. She is the co-founder and president of the Iraqi Artist Association, which fights for the protection of artists and intellectuals in Iraq. Namou was born in Baghdad as a minority Christian, came to the United States at the age of 10. She is the author of 3 novels. She also has had articles and poetry that have appeared in a number of notable literary journalists. She is a columnist for several Michigan newspapers and is working on her first feature film, Green Card Wedding. Weam Namou, we welcome you to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thank you for having me, Gary. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And how are things in my own old stomping grounds of southeastern Michigan?
It's a little bit cold today.
I would suspect that if you and I had opportunity to break bread and share a cup of a pot of tea together, we'd find that we know some of the very same people, because I have many friends in the Iraqi community in Detroit who I left behind when I came here to New York. So you're kind of like a bridge to my past a little bit here.
Really? Well, next time you're here, we'll host you, all of us.
For sure, or I'll host you, you know, and we'll all get together and reminisce and talk about new things as well. You know, I'm so happy that you're able to join us to talk about this horrific story, one that is underreported in the mainstream media, that of the systemic killing of artists and intellectuals and musicians in Iraq in the name of religion. And what I find particularly striking about this is that these religious zealots are not just Sunni or not just Shiite, they're both Sunni and Shiite. Is there any hope at this point for Iraq?
It seems that there wouldn't be, but if we were to look at it that way, I think both the U.S. and the Iraqis would suffer in the long run greatly. And so despite what is happening, there has to be in our hearts the faith that our men and women are serving there for a purpose, and that eventually the situation will turn in Iraq. And we have to do that for survival purposes, because at this point, if the U.S. was to change that outlook, what's going to happen is that it's going to give other countries, other powers, negative power over us. And at the same time, the country of Iraq will completely be destroyed, even more so than it is at this point.
Well, let's talk about from a historic perspective for a moment. There was a time in history, a pretty long time in history, where Muslims were the leaders in culture and arts. How can it be, that from the same group of people there would be a subgroup who would kill their own for performing, for bringing to us all culture?
Okay, this is where ignorance plays a large role, and Al-Qaeda has used that to their benefit. The majority of the people who are doing the killings are not, Al-Qaeda is not going to go to a doctor or a lawyer and say, you want to join Al-Qaeda and behead people. It's going to go to the ignorant, to the poor, to children whom they can have power over and whom they can brainwash.